to get your work done? WorkSuites provides full-service offices, meeting rooms, and co-working spaces for professionals seeking privacy and productivity. The suites come furnished, wired, and move-in ready. WorkSuites is a new sponsor of KATH 910 AM and is owned by Flip Howard from St. Thomas Aquinas Parish in Dallas. Flip invites you to call 888-312-WORK or visit WorkSuites.com to see if WorkSuites fits your business needs. That's WorkSuites.com.
Join the people of St. Jude Parish in Allen on the third Saturday of each month as they hold their 40 Days for Life. Following morning mass, participants will carpool to the Whole Women's Health Clinic to peacefully pray for an end to abortion and offer Choose Life handouts. Participants will meet up back at St. Jude after about an hour. If you've been looking for a way to further the pro-life cause, this is your chance.
Hi, I'm Piper with Ingress Labs. My family and I are parishioners at St. Philip the Apostle Catholic Church in Louisville and are active in several St. Philip ministries. We are proud new sponsors of KATH 910 AM. Ingress Labs helps businesses develop and maintain their IT systems. We also identify cybersecurity threats to your business. We're at 469-912-0397, or you can email help@ingresslabs.com. That's help@ingress labs.com. Ingress Labs, the company with the unusual name.
Hi, this is Jake Nadu, a sophomore from the Diocese of Charleston, discerning my vocation at Holy Trinity Seminary. My brother seminarians and I invite you to join us on A Lenten Journey. Beginning on Ash Wednesday and continuing through Divine Mercy Sunday, a daily reflection will be posted on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HTS Seminary.
Looking for a Catholic university where the greatest works of Western and Catholic tradition are the foundation for learning, all in an environment that is faithful to the magisterium? Recommended by the Cardinal Newman Society, the University of Dallas offers an exceptional liberal arts education, preserving the wisdom of the past while preparing students for world-changing futures. Academically excellent, always faithful. Apply today at udallas.edu.
At all ages of life, God may at times seem silent and we can't feel His presence. But don't despair. By faith, we need to persevere even when we can't see, touch, hear, and feel God. Plan to attend Perseverance in Faith in the 11th Annual North Texas Catholic Men's Conference on Saturday, April 30th from 8 to 3:30 p.m. at St. Anne Catholic Church in Coppell. We'll have outstanding Catholic speakers and musicians, plus pray, eat, worship, and receive sacraments. Speakers will include Annie Hickman, plus music by the Dave Moore Band. Invite your friends and come in groups. Fish for men 15 years and older, and register today at CatholicBrothersForChrist.com.
KATH 910 AM welcomes Emerson on Harvest Hill as a new sponsor. It's a senior living community in North Dallas near St. Rita Parish. Amenities include chef-prepared meals each day, transportation, social and educational events and activities, 24-hour security, and the participation in the sacraments. To learn more about Emerson on Harvest Hill or to arrange a tour and visit,
Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Back to the Father here on all the Guadalupe Radio Network social media sites. My name is Dave Palmer, host of this program, and we have the entire crew here with us. We don't have anybody in the hot seat. Mark Lowe was here last week. That was a lot of fun having Mark Lowe with us. He'll be back sometime, but we have to my right, Cecil Anderson. How you doing, Cecil?
I'm doing well. Not running in at the last minute. I'm here.
Yeah, that was kind of weird,
good.
wasn't it?
It was. Hat and all.
I think you threw Mark for a loop because he wanted to pretend he was you.
Yes, he did. I kind of ruined his whole
I
audition.
wanted to see that really bad.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't look anything like you. The long hair,
The long hair.
that's about it.
Well, he failed on one fundamental fact in that he didn't bring a hat.
yeah,
I mean, he
true.
wore a crown. He did wear a crown for your birthday, but
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
right. And this is Jonathan von Weber-Hansberg.
Yes,
I still
hello.
enjoy saying your name more than I enjoy saying Anderson, but you know.
whoa.
Take that, Cecil.
We are only a minute into this program, and shots have been fired.
Tensions are high.
No, it's just a fact. It's a cool last name.
Yeah,
okay.
it is
And
cool.
Diane Xavier, the only one of us kind of named after a saint, maybe?
Yes, St.
Yeah.
Francis Xavier.
Yeah.
And
Diane
a
Xavier.
university.
All right. Well, you're named after a saint. What?
Cecil is Cecilia.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Pretty
I'm
sure
talking
there's a
about
St. Jonathan somewhere.
talking about
Or
I'm talking
future
about-
St. John.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about last names.
Oh.
Come on. I was talking about Anderson.
Anderson is Andrew's son.
Believe me, there is no Saint von Weber-Hansberg, okay?
Yet.
Not
Yeah,
that I
yet.
know of, right.
Subject
but,
to change.
We may be sitting amongst the future Saint von Weber-Hansberg, but anyways. All right, so this is a show where we talk about some area of Thomistic philosophy, St. Thomas Aquinas. I have a great passion for it. Everybody else either does or fakes it or plays along or has fun with it or learns a little bit. But you got to admit, you've learned more about Thomistic philosophy in the last year than you probably did in the previous 22 years of your
This is
life.
true.
Would that be true?
I cannot tell a lie. This is true.
It's true, yeah. Except 18 years for me. Not
Yeah, right. 18 years. And so it's kind of fun. And today we've got a pretty provocative topic. It is, can we prove that heaven exists through reason alone? And I'm going to argue that we can. Okay, so it's
Is that you and St. Thomas together teaming up over there, or is
well,
it?
no, I don't think St. Thomas went out on that limb,
Oh.
but I would argue
Oh,
that
heresy time.
but I would argue that if you take the areas of the Summa that I'm going to highlight, 5 different things today and during the show, that you could make the argument that he would believe that we can believe in heaven through natural reason. Now, I think most people would say, well, we believe it because it's a dogma of the faith. It's a doctrine. We can't really prove it. We can't see it. It's can't touch it. But I think, and I'm not going to talk about, like people coming back from heaven and after that. That's not one of my proofs because you can take that or leave it, right? But although I think that's pretty good evidence. And so everybody who is out there watching, thank you for joining us. We love feedback. We love when you write comments. You can even call in if you want to. 877-757-9424. Seems like the only people that call in are like your dad or your friends. Is that right?
Oh, your grandpa
It was
was
my granddad.
Oh, your granddad. That's right. Yeah, granddad. Okay.
Just your dad and your friends.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So if they want to call in, they can. Otherwise, just leave comments and all that. Then at the end of the show, the last 15 minutes, we bring out the trivia. All right. Gets a little heated, a little fun, kind of competitive. But I came equipped. Jonathan hardly ever does.
Hey,
today.
okay, I came equipped sort of this time.
Remember the time he had the joke?
Oh, the joke that we still haven't. We're still waiting for the punchline.
Still warming up,
Yeah.
and it's like that was the
The joke is still cooking it, okay?
yeah that was the
Not
weirdest
really.
thing, man. That was so weird.
I just would request that sometime before you leave us, in the coming years,
I
please
revealed
tell
the
us
joke.
a joke.
Tell us that. Oh, that joke.
Or that joke, yeah, at
Okay,
least.
A joke.
I would settle for
I'll
You
it.
go.
got trivia?
I have trivia, and
I
I'm
had
actually
to
pretty proud of
remind-
my trivia.
I had to remind
I'm not
Cecil
proud
about
of
an
my
hour
trivia.
ago. Okay.
I don't
right,
get into Back to
so-
the Father until at least 5 minutes before.
Okay, probably a good thing. All right, so some warm-up questions, and those of you out there watching us out in social media land, you are very, very welcome to answer these as well. This is probably something that they've done studies on, but what percent of the people in the world do you think actually believe that heaven exists?
Oh,
Ooh,
well,
just percentage?
heaven.
Yeah, I mean, just
Just-
off the
Oh,
top
talking
of your
about
head.
Christian heaven, just the idea of a
Just
heaven
the
in general.
idea.
Yeah, that there's some kind of afterlife. It's a good place
I'm gonna
because
say
Muslims believe in it, right?
I'm going to say
Yeah.
75 to 80% of people believe
You think
it.
so?
Yeah.
That
I'm not going to say like Christian heaven exists, but that
Yeah.
there's some sort of heaven after death.
that only 25% of the people think that you die and you just get buried and you rot and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an optimistic
It is
number.
optimistic, but we've
Yeah.
already had this conversation. I'm an optimistic person.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying
Okay.
to-
But the
Because
thing
you
is that, oh yeah, go ahead.
Because a lot of the atheists out there are more agnostic, and they always say that they're just open to the idea, and I feel like they might agree with it, in some sort of poll. So I'm trying to, I guess I'll say 70%.
70%. Okay.
believe
So
in
you're going down a little bit from Cecil's. Yeah, I'd say probably. Okay. Well,
Is there an actual
I
poll?
don't know. No, I'm sure there have been, but
Oh, okay.
I'm not privy to that. But okay, so here's the next question, because we'll leave that one alone. I'd say you're probably in the right ballpark. It's an optimistic thing to think of. I mean, who doesn't want to at least think that it's a possibility?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
there's a heaven?
I think even some of the times the people, maybe like the really hardcore atheists who are like, "Oh, there's nothing." I think from time to time they do probably in the back of their head kind of at least wish
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean by that. I think that there are very few people who, through and through, are like, "No,
Yeah.
there's no heaven."
I have had one person tell me one time that they think that it would be kind of like boring to live forever.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, you ever heard that? It's like, but I think they're putting it on the terms of like Earth, like,
Yeah, like a
you
natural
know,
life.
like I sit
Well,
in my
yeah,
room
if we
and I
had to
get
live
bored.
here forever
That would get boring.
with
Yeah.
all the problems we have, that would be not only boring but just tiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. So next question is, do you think belief in a heaven can be apart from a belief in hell, or do you think you got to kind of do both? Is it a twofer deal, or can you have one or the
Is
other?
it still in the Christian sense, or just like general?
Well, just generally speaking. I mean, it like, can you have? And of course, there's that big debate, with like Bishop Robert Barron with "Dare we hope that no all men are saved." So, if there's a heaven, is there absolutely necessarily a hell? Now, of course, I want to say in our Catholic beliefs, we absolutely believe there's a heaven, and we absolutely believe there's a hell. Okay, so I'm not disputing that at all. I think for 100% certainty there's a heaven and a hell, but I'm just kind of throwing out the questions. Like, can somebody say, I think there's a heaven but not a hell? Or would that be like intellectually dishonest?
I don't think you can. I think
Yeah,
there
I
would have to be, because the whole point of an afterlife, in a very basic generic standpoint, would be that you attain heaven, which would be a reward based on your merits on earth. And if that's the case, then there has to be a sort of punishment. So if there wasn't, then what's the point of living here and suffering and then going to heaven? There wouldn't be any reason to do that instead of just starting out in heaven in the first place.
I agree. I think it would be hard for you to say, because as soon as you say that, then you realize like, oh, then there's some people I think
And
that people
Hitler's
would
in
think,
heaven,
yeah, some people would think that there's some people in history that they'd be like, that man, not saying that we don't know what happened with like certain people, but some people would automatically think about the people who've wronged them terribly, terribly, terribly.
And
They
then
just
you
be
can get away
like,
with whatever.
wait, so everyone just can get into heaven? I think, yeah.
And what's the point if there's only a heaven and everybody goes on to this perfect place? Well, then what's the purpose of Earth?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why do we go through this?
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
no reason to be good or anything. 'Cause
because you're just living and there's granted.
And
I mean,
whatever
I
you can
love,
do, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's all this, you're trying to live a good life, and some people aren't, and some people are murdering people, and some people are, doing great, and then all of a sudden everybody goes to heaven. It's like, okay. So that was kind of weird. I mean, what was the point? All right, next question. These are all just kind of foundational setup questions, okay?
Okay.
Would you live differently if you found out with 100% certainty that there was not a heaven and not a hell?
No.
You would not?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait, what I
So
hold on, I gotta take.
And I just want to say, 100% believe there's a heaven, there's a hell.
Yeah, we're not saying-
I'm not questioning it. I'm
Yeah, he's
just
not
kind
turning into Marx.
I'm kind of setting these up. I would say without a doubt, I would live differently.
I think
Not like in a crazy way. I wouldn't
might change some things, but-
there's a lot of things that I do, that because I don't want to go to hell. I mean, it's I just. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think there would probably be some things that would wind up, changing, but I think generally I would stick with the Catholic, teaching generally, because it just brings you peace and happiness. That kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, Cecil. Have you
I think-
decided
What do
that
you think?
question yet?
It's kind of hard to like say that because I always think of it again within a very Christian context. But it's kind of like, would you want to live a moral life? Would you care to live a moral life? What would a moral life even be if there wasn't, heaven or
Yeah.
hell? So I would say unsure.
All right.
And hey,
Not sure.
Not sure.
All right. So a lot of evil in the world, a lot of crazy stuff. You mentioned Hitler, people that support abortion, so people that, do school shootings, crazy stuff. Do you think, can these people believe in a heaven? I mean, and would there be less of that if everybody was convinced that there was a heaven? I mean, I mean, I'm no perfect guy, and I certainly sin a lot, and I have my faults, but I mean, I have a fear of hell, and I just can't imagine some of these people that are doing terrible things have a genuine fear of hell.
I mean, I know that Stalin was an atheist, but I think Hitler, he started out as Catholic, and then he sort of became a weird pagan. I know that, and then I think he became an atheist towards the end.
Stalin, you say?
No, Hitler.
Oh, Hitler.
So Hitler,
Okay.
Stalin was just
Yeah, Hitler
atheist.
was he brought up Catholic?
He was brought up Catholic, and then
Yeah.
he became a pagan, and that's kind of how he started his whole thing was
Yeah.
based off paganism, and then I think he became an atheist at the very end. So I don't know if he had some sort of belief somewhere in there but maybe it was really lighthearted, kind of lukewarm, or stone cold, I guess, faith.
Stone Cold Austin. It's a Hollywood reference.
We should just have one show dedicated to all the references that Jonathan doesn't get.
Just to kind of put him in his place.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I was half as bright as Jonathan is what's my verb, when I was your age. Okay, so there you
thank
go.
you.
All right. And what's a greater motivator, reward or punishment?
Punishment.
If there was only a hell, and like if you mess up, you're gonna go to hell. I think that motivates a lot
That
of
would
people.
help. That would help.
Okay.
Yep.
Or I know, because I'm the only one amongst us that has actually raised a child. And I don't know. I mean, I would say probably between the two, probably punishments is a bigger motivator than reward. But they both can motivate. And all right, so let's just kind of set up questions. Interestingly, what do you think heaven will be like? Do you have an image in your mind of if you get to heaven, what it would be like?
Something our earthly minds and bodies can't fathom. It's where, we don't have to, work or anything. We can just...
Don't show up at Guadalupe Radio Network?
No, I'm talking about
No more
like
clocking in 9 to 5.
like heaven, not the earth,
Yeah. Yeah.
mortal beings like us.
I keep going back and forth. I've thought about it over the years, because of course Jesus and Mary have bodies, so it's physical. So I would imagine that it would resemble something kind of similar to how we comprehend the physical world, but at the same time we would just be pure spirit. And I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I just imagine like a gigantic castle or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of run around. Hey,
There's God. Look at angel.
I've always just
Kinda
thought about
fun.
like what it'd be like to like recognize people. You know what I mean? Like how that
hey,
would
you
be.
made it.
Are we all just gonna be like vibing together?
You're
be
surprised
like,
someone
hey, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
How'd you die?
look great.
I don't think we like generally speaking talk about this like enough, because there ought to be more of this conversation in the
There
culture,
should,
because
yeah.
if you think about it more often, then people probably
trippy.
Especially
live
because
better lives,
so many
right?
people have such a weird skewed idea of what heaven actually is. I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah.
I've met people who legitimately think that it's just somewhere in the clouds.
Yeah.
And
Like literally, like you
Yeah.
just you go up.
If you get
Everyone
it wrong,
has their
go up
own
a few
cloud.
miles in the clouds.
Yeah, everyone has their own cloud that they get to float around on.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of ride around.
I think that's the issue from Protestantism a lot, because they kind of brought in they did away with a lot of the sort of like punishment and vengeful God kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and just,
no purgatory.
yeah, ushered in just like the happy God loves you, come as you are kind of deal.
Yeah, float in clouds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sky Daddy,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
The really interesting thing, and again, I'm the only married one here, but I was actually talking to my students in class yesterday about this, is well, you're married, and we know through scripture and teaching that marriage does not continue in heaven, right? So they said, well, what is it going to be like when you see your wife in heaven? And I'm like, hey, you know,
Like,
you look so familiar.
I remember you. Yeah.
Was there some a connection between us or?
well, yeah, that's the thing is like, what about the people? Like, okay, we have famous people in the Bible and things like that that are going to be in heaven, but we've not seen pictures of them. Like, we're just going to be like, oh, you automatically know that that's St. John?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know from the movies, like, hey, they depicted you well, Moses.
Yeah.
You know, or. Yeah, and it blows me away. The general judgment, we're all going to know everybody's, we talked about this the other day, didn't we? Yeah, everybody knows everybody's sins, and you have this perfect knowledge of everybody in the whole world that's ever lived. I mean, this got to be, how many billions of people have lived in the world? And can you imagine knowing everybody's story instantaneously at one time and everybody knowing yours? That just absolutely blows me away. So anyways, we're going to move on to my 5 reasons why I think I could prove, I can show evidence in the Summa that we can believe in heaven through natural reason alone.
Wait, Dave,
okay?
when are you going to write your own manifesto? You have to write your own, like, the Dave Summa Logica.
Okay, again, we have to talk about, there's a few things that needs to happen first before Dave can do that. One, he needs a different last name.
He needs a beard.
And he needs a beard. Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well, that's probably wouldn't be too hard to work out.
Yeah.
Because, back in Thomas's day, there was a Summa that everybody read that was like the go-to. But then as soon as Thomas's Summa came out, that one, no one ever talks about that any longer. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
It was called, I'm proving my point.
Yeah.
Is that there was a guy named Peter Lombard.
Oh, no, wait, I've heard of him.
You've heard of Peter Lombard?
Yeah.
And he had what's called the Sentences by Peter Lombard. And that was the go-to
Was
kind
that
of...
the OG Summa?
That was the... What is OG?
The original.
Oh, okay.
Finally, a reference you don't get.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
OG?
You've never heard that?
No. See, I'm
That's
like
Gen
a
Z
lot,
talk right there.
Yeah, I'm a lot older than you guys. I'm even surprised I'm even have a conversation with you guys. So,
To be fair, you're talking to homeschoolers,
yeah,
so
but I have a daughter that's only 2 years younger than you.
ask her
right?
what OG
so,
means.
we talk OG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll ask. All right. So if you're watching out there and you want to comment or let us know what you think, what do you think heaven's going to be like? I think it's kind of funny kind of weird that even with people dying and saying they come back and they talk about what it's like, we still don't really have a good idea of what it's going to be like. It's going to be amazing. To think about that, to think that like at one moment you're alive here on Earth, and then literally in a flash, you can be gone. Okay, but all right. So let's move on, and you tell me. Be honest. You always are. Okay, whether you think these are convincing.
Is that a backhanded compliment? I don't know.
You're always brutally honest
Sounds good.
with me. So okay. So next slide just has the word heaven because that's what we're talking about today. And okay, so the first reason I think that we can believe in heaven without, just through natural reason alone, and without having to have divine revelation, is that St. Thomas Aquinas teaches that we can believe in God through natural reason. Okay,
Right.
You don't have to have divine revelation to believe in God. And God, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, is basically heaven. Okay, God is our beatitude. God is our end. Okay, he's our beginning and our end. It's perfect knowledge of God. We unite with God. So to know God is to know heaven. So, that isn't that in and of itself an evidence that we might, and I do have in the next slide the 5 proofs. Remember, I keep quizzing you guys about whether you remember these.
Yeah.
Okay, you got them right there in front of you, but you don't.
Yeah, it's the argument of motion, the argument from efficient cause. Yeah.
You got to memorize these.
I know
okay?
most of them off the top of my
Anybody
head.
out there that's watching the program today, have you got this memorized? Have you memorized the 5 proofs for the existence of God? There's some things you have to memorize.
Yeah.
What else do you have to memorize? You have to memorize.
10 Commandments.
Yeah, I think I have them. I don't know if I have
The
them in
books of the
order.
Bible.
No. You got to memorize
helpful.
like the 4 cardinal virtues, the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. These, you got to have those memorized.
Sacraments.
Right? Yeah, the 7 sacraments. That's pretty easy peasy. Okay, so do you agree with that? Do you agree that?
Yeah, that's actually what I thought you were gonna say when you told me about the topic of the show. I thought it was gonna be something about God, since God is existence, and he's the only thing that exists outside of creation. That it would make sense that he's heaven.
Yeah.
Basically. Because
Which is kind of weird because it's like,
it's a guy.
that's all right.
Well, he's not a guy.
Because
but,
you're
you
still
know.
thinking of like, hey, you got a body, you're walking around, talking to friends, but how is that God?
Yeah.
But
I think it's just sort of.
You both looked at me.
so
at the
whenever
exact-
Cecil has a thought, she reacts. What was that all about?
No, I just like inhaled really sharply. I didn't mean
Was it
to.
something we said? Or?
No, I just had a thought. That's all. I was gonna ask. So then we.
Does that happen every time you have a thought? And you,
Yes.
so up until now, you've really had no thoughts.
I don't breathe
That's
unless
a pretty
I have
good
a thought.
reaction. Yeah. yeah.
No, I was just. Sorry. I think I'm a little congested, so that came out really terribly. All right. What I was gonna ask was though, are we saying that? Okay, assuming like what we said, you can prove the existence of God, through reason. So does that mean that God? You were talking about like, okay, God is heaven, but do you think the average person would automatically equate with God there being an afterlife?
Wait, that if there's a God, there's automatically an afterlife. I don't know that they necessarily have to go hand in hand, but but God creates us, and it seems kind of weird to just kind of create something and then it ends. But then that's how He created dogs or cats or crickets, right? They live a life and boom, they're done.
That's true.
Right? And so we believe that, but yeah, it's a good point. I kind of think the belief in God and the belief of heaven should kind of go hand in hand.
Well,
yeah.
I think
I think
so
if you really
too. I
think
just
about
didn't. But of course, we're coming all from a Christian perspective, so that's why I was wondering if like someone who has never been raised in a Christian household and is only vaguely aware of Christianity, would they automatically be like?
Now, I would say in everything that I'm talking about now, this would be across the board. This is not Christianity because I'm talking about human reason. Okay, so we share reason with the Muslim and the Mormon and the Hindu. I mean, we all have the same use of reason, right? It's not any different for a Christian and another person, right? So, yeah, I would say don't necessarily look at this strictly from a Christian lens, okay? So, all right, so the next slide shows a young girl pondering, looking up into the sky wistfully. And the point with this one is I think that the default for most people is that there's something pretty interesting going on, there's a God. I think we naturally kind of wonder about that. And the only scripture I'm going to throw in there, and I'm kind of breaking my rule because if it's strictly through reason alone, you wouldn't rely on sacred scripture. But this is the go-to. Have I shared this one before? Romans 1:19-20. St. Paul says, "For what can be known about God is evident to them, because God made it evident to them. Ever since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes of eternal power and divinity have been able to be understood and perceived by what He has made. As a result, they have no excuse." So he's saying the pagans, the atheists, there's no excuse not to believe in God. So
Kevin, remember Kevin when he was saying that?
Kevin, your friend?
Yeah, I remember when he called in and we talked to him about
Natural law?
Natural law.
He didn't believe in it.
No, I said I didn't, but I need to send him that.
Yeah. I mean, so St. Paul is saying here, and I think this is so true. Is you look around. We've talked about this many times. I won't beat the horse, but you just look outside and say, how can you say it just kind of appeared and there's nobody behind it? All right. So there's some beautiful pictures. All right. Notice the one on the top left there. Do you notice something cool about that? There's a butterfly. There's a flower. Do you see what else is there?
I can't see the
that
picture
a
yet,
bee?
so.
Yeah, it's like somebody was taking a picture of a butterfly and the bee kind of
the
like
bee wanted to photobomb.
Hey, look at me.
Yeah, he's like, excuse you. Oh, that's beautiful.
All right.
Oh,
So
I love the sunset picture.
yeah, isn't
Or
that
sunrise,
nice?
I can't tell.
Yeah. So who can look at these things? And I would say on a pretty much everyday basis, we see things that rival this in beauty. Yes or no? Yes or yes?
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's just some things that are in the world that are just so gorgeous that you just kind of stop and your breath is taken away. Like going
chickens.
if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon,
Mhm.
like the
Chickens.
first.
I'm just saying. Every morning I go out and see my chickens, and I'm just like,
I mean, seriously?
yeah,
It's like a God experience?
yeah. God is good. He gave
know?
me chickens, and they're
Yeah.
awesome.
I ate chicken last night. Oh, gosh. I mean, I know, seriously. I mean, that to me, the fact that God gives us something that tastes so
I know.
good.
It's amazing.
I was
And-
just trying to talk about the Grand Canyon. talking about chickens.
That's just gonna happen when I'm here, Cecil. You know
I'm
that.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm sorry. We interrupted. I
The food
tell you,
competition's more
I got an
interesting.
ADD brain,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I'm talking
like,
about
chicken.
my dinner last
It is
night.
a Friday and Lent, just to remind everyone
So
that.
it's been a long time
Yeah.
since I've been to the Grand Canyon, but just amazingly beautiful.
I've never been.
Amazingly beautiful. And I think every single person, the very first time you see it, you just kind of like stop and stare at it. Because it just seems like a picture that it's been painted. It doesn't seem real at all. And you're like, there's no way that this just happened. You know what I mean? Without someone, behind
Yeah.
it. There's just no way. And my favorite thing in the world is to see other people's first reaction to it. Because I was able to go with my friends who hadn't seen it the year before. And watching their faces the first time they saw it was fantastic.
Now,
So-
isn't there like a natural explanation
Yeah,
for it? Is
absolutely.
it asteroids or like what actually caused the Grand Canyon? Come on, you got the tour, right? Didn't they
no,
explain
I
that?
didn't get a tour.
Come on, you're the Grand
Oh, you
Canyon.
didn't.
expert.
we just drove there.
To ride the
peeked-
donkeys?
No. Oh yeah. I would love to, but no. We only drove up for a day trip just to like look around. We drove to the few of the lookouts ourselves, so we didn't get any tour. So it's terrible. I thought it had something to do with water.
I think
It
it's
was-
supposed to be
Yeah.
asteroids and erosion. Like a
Oh
mixture.
yeah, the mixture of the two.
Now, Cecil, sorry to jump onto your domain, but there are some comments
I know.
here. All right.
I was getting there. So Colin, when we were asking about what do we think heaven will be like, Colin said many mansions, but I think there will be a few trailers too. Also, we just got to get there. And then White Wolf has an epic.
Have we had
username.
White Wolf on before?
No, I think it's a new. If we have a little new watcher, ding 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 ding.
Watcher.
That was not a great. So he said the core of heaven is the beatific vision, which is like watching a wonderful movie that keeps getting more and more fascinating and never ends. I kind of like that explanation. That's
Yeah,
a cool one.
yeah.
I do not think we could postulate heaven from reason alone. It must be revealed.
Is that White Wolf saying that?
Yes,
Okay,
and then-
it has to be revealed.
Has to be
So
revealed.
he would disagree.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Colin says, in regards to heaven, I imagine total ecstasy and Gregorian chant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then also the best part from White Wolf, the best part of the Grand Canyon is from the North Rim.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. So-
Okay. All right. Good.
And
So,
Kevin is in the house as well.
Oh yeah, Kevin. I was away from that
as
the
soon
whole
as we
time.
start talking about somebody, they show up. That's kind of interesting.
Ooh,
Okay,
ooh,
so
who can we
that's
talk about?
the first reason that I believe, and maybe by the end of the program, White Wolf can tell me if whether any of these are convincing because he doesn't agree, and that's fine. This is certainly up for debate, and he's probably more in line with. I don't know if the church would officially say we cannot know heaven through natural reason, but I'm going to kind of lay out the case, and you guys tell me what you think, okay? All right, number 2 reason that I think that we can likely come to believe in heaven through natural reason alone is that, next slide, we are intelligent creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Hey, this is the first time I feel like we've been like complimented on this show. Because in the past we've said things like, we are inferior to angels. And we're
Dense
this,
intellect.
Right. What is it? Something substances. There's a way Thomas puts it. Inferior substances, I think he calls us, which is never good to hear.
Yeah.
So here's my argument. If you're okay, we know there's a God, and we know for a fact that God has created a whole kind of variety and plethora of different kind of creatures. And we know you've got the slug and the earthworm and the cricket and the lizard and the snake, and you kind of move up, and you've got the cat and the dog arguably are smarter than the slug and the cricket, and then you got the porpoise and the dolphin, and they're pretty smart, and the monkey, and then all of a sudden you make this big leap and you got the human being, and clearly I'll never be convinced otherwise that we're different. So why would God create a creature with such incredible intelligence, and I believe, made in his image? That's more theology than reason, but it doesn't seem to make sense that he would make something like that who would have the same end as a slug, and you just die and you're done.
Yeah, because that would be the God would be almost like an evil God in that sense. Because if he's just creating you to be able to
creating
whole life,
you to be a slug, basically.
well, creating you and giving you this intellect just so that you can realize that you're pointless and you're going to die, and then you die. That's just like what?
Right.
Great life.
It'd be better to be the cricket.
Yeah, it would be.
Because they don't contemplate it. They don't have to come to the So
Just be the poor suckers that could figure it out.
all right. So here's a little quote from the Summa. There must needs be some higher intellect by which the soul is helped to understand, Wherefore, some held that this intellect, substantially separate, is the active intellect, which by lighting up the phantasms, oh man, I love that, as it were, makes them to be actually intelligible, okay? And we know this by experience, since we perceive that we abstract universal forms from their particular conditions. All right, do you remember what the whole universal forms from particular conditions are? Do you remember that one? Okay.
Wait.
No.
Wait. Wait.
That's when Jonathan gets a thought. Wait. He starts convulsing.
I just breathe really loudly.
Okay, well, we've gone over this a number of times.
That was, what's his name?
All right, don't rub it in.
No, this is all right. Sometimes you got to kind of go through it a few times before, right? So, okay, so next slide, I say tree, and everybody thinks treeness, right? And this is a particular individual tree that we're looking at.
Gotcha.
But we can universalize it, okay? So like dog, it can be a Pekingese or it can be a Great Dane, but we have dogness in our mind. And I've said this before, we're the only creatures that can do that, okay? The only ones that can think in universals. Well, universals is a very high level of thinking, because then we can kind of group things and Jonathan, just for your sake, I put a turkey on there, okay?
Oh my goodness,
so
thank you so much, Dave.
Because Jonathan likes turkeyness.
I love turkeyness.
Yeah, so
that's my favoriteness.
But anyway, so the whole point here with proof number 2 is we are so unique and our intellects are so amazing that, kind of as Jonathan was saying, it would be kind of weird for God to put us on the earth just to be able to kind of contemplate this. And I'm actually kind of going into the next one, though. So
real quick, I have another comment from White Wolf, and I think he's referring to when you said that, what would be the point of God creating, man so differently if they're just going to die. And he pointed out that in the beginning, no death was in the world. Adam's sin brought death to all the world.
Aha. Yeah, good point. Good point. So originally, yeah, that's a good point. So originally, Adam and Eve were going to live forever, okay, which... And isn't that kind of a proof of heaven? I mean, that's not
more of a Christian theological.
Right. That's not through reason. That's through we got to be able to separate these two. But it is a good point. Heaven only. Gosh, that's very interesting. Yeah, gosh, I'm glad White Wolf is here with us today.
Yeah, definitely.
I wondered where White Wolf is.
Another important thought is Mario texted me and says that OG goes back to the 80s. You just didn't listen to any rap music, apparently.
Is that like OG?
Like the original,
OG.
like O and G are in original. It's like a shorter version of original, basically.
Really? How did I never hear that?
It's been pretty big.
I haven't been living in a cave. I mean, I'm kind of with it.
You usually know most of the lingo, so I was surprised you didn't know that one.
Yeah, and my daughters throw stuff at me all the time. That is kind of interesting. But
that wasn't a thought, by the way. That was just me breathing.
Yeah. So all right. So back to the Summa. Back to the Father. Okay. Number 3. Reason that I think that we can prove that heaven exists through reason alone is that we have free will. Da, 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 da. You see that image? Okay. Okay. So this lady is able to look at an apple and look at a piece of chocolate,
and eat the chocolate
and make a rational decision. Unless it's Lent. I mean, today I'd have to eat the apple because I gave up sweets.
You
okay.
Did?
Yeah. Animals don't give stuff up for Lent. They don't make decisions. They're not moral agents, right? Mm-hmm. So getting back to what we were talking about before. If we have these moral dilemmas and contingencies, and we can choose right and we can choose wrong.
You pointed to me when you said right, and you pointed to Cecil when you said wrong.
Oh, I did? Okay, well, and I actually, interestingly, used my left hand to talk about right. Yeah, interesting.
Wow.
So why, again, what's the point of all these decisions that we have to make, moral decisions and virtue and right and wrong, and because I think almost everybody would agree that there is right and wrong, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, but there's so why? I mean, why? If there isn't some reward and some punishment afterwards, what's the point? What's the point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So to take that, Red Wolf, what's our
White
friend?
Wolf.
White Wolf. Okay, White Wolf. I want to know what you think about this. Okay. So Thomas says, and I won't read all this. Man has free will. Otherwise, counsels, exhortations, commands, prohibitions, rewards, and punishments would be in vain. In order to make this evident, we must observe that some things act without judgment. So what he's going to do is he's going to start comparing the different types of creatures, from stones. They just kind of drop, but they don't have any say about that. And then there's non-intelligible creatures that, have a little bit of knowledge, but they're not making decisions. And then he says, but we're different. That we have free judgment and we have the power of being inclined to various things. Now, particular operations are contingent. And so, again, I think that would be a good evidence that there is a heaven and a hell as well. Okay, number 4, and I'm going to put a picture up on the screen. It's going to have 4 slides. Do you see the one with the snake? Can anybody tell me what these 4?
Oh dear.
What's going on here? Why did I put a picture of a snake, a mouse, a couple in a car, and a
Oh
McDonald's?
my gosh, the snake eats the mouse
Yeah,
and the
and
people eat the McDonald's.
All right. So okay. So what's the point?
Just because we're fancier.
Okay. So yeah, but what's
Questionable.
the point? Anybody want to take a stab
The
at
circle
this
of
out
life.
Well, no, it's that the snake has to go out and catch his food at the very beginning. Meanwhile, we can have a whole system that's prepared for us, and we can eat at our leisure.
Oh, that's like prepared for us. Yeah, we don't like run around
we're
catching things in our mouth.
Yeah, we're not worried about all the mice are gone. We can just be like, I'm just gonna go to the store.
Yeah. Okay. Not exactly what I was getting at, but that's a good point. No, it has to do with a natural desires that we have that we share with the irrational creatures that we didn't ask for, and that we are being kind of like with theology being pushed, being
Hunger.
directed to an end.
So
Okay.
being
Nobody
hungry.
asks to be hungry. Nobody asks to be tired. Nobody asks to be thirsty. Okay. So we're being pulled in a direction that we didn't necessarily ask for, just like the creatures themselves, right? Now the next slide is where we're like the snake, although we don't typically like to eat mice, but we as an intellectual creatures with free will, we write poetry, we ponder, we worship. We're the only creatures that worship. Why would you worship? If there was, we just have this natural desire to be thankful, to worship, to acknowledge that there's a God. We ponder, and again, I loved your point, Jonathan, so much. It's like, what's the point in all this pondering and thinking about deep thoughts and writing poetry
Pondering
about
for the
beautiful
sake of
things?
pondering.
Yeah.
So you can leave more things for other people to ponder after you
And
have died.
it's just this vicious cycle of pondering.
Vicious cycle of pondering. Yeah.
It would be kind of cruel, wouldn't it?
It would be a little cruel. Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
And God's not cruel, right? Okay, so
God
remember
is
that.
cool.
Okay, so now this little paragraph here, this next one is pretty deep, this is really. I would love to spend like an hour, but I think everybody would just leave and nobody would just
Run away.
Even you two would leave and Diane would go home. Okay, but I'm gonna read a part of it. Okay, and then if you're like, no, keep going. No, don't stop. I'm kidding. Okay, every agent of necessity acts for an end. Would you say that's true?
Yes.
Okay, everything acts for an end, right? For if in a number of causes ordained to one another, the first be removed, the others must of necessity be removed also. Now the first of all causes is the final cause. Okay, so the final cause is our purpose, our intention, our end, kind of what we're driving towards. But Thomas would say that that God is both the efficient cause and basically our final cause. It's for everything that we do is for the sake of reaching our end, which is God. And so we're being drawn towards it. And so can't we know through natural reason, because we're being drawn to things naturally, both physical and intellectually, that it's leading to something. I mean, okay. Well, that was easy.
Keep going.
Okay, so all right, and let's see. Any comments? Any thoughts? Has White Wolf said, you know what, Dave? You're right.
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay.
We did have Kevin ask a question
Oh yeah.
that I don't honestly know too much about the subject, so I'm not entirely sure if it's goes along with what we're talking
Industrial hunting versus
about. No, the one before that.
Oh, okay. What would be the difference between Armenian, Molinism, and Synergism? Jonathan, why don't you take that one?
Okay, so
Do you know what those words mean?
I know what some of them mean, but
Yeah.
not all of them.
Sorry,
Kevin,
I
you
failed
got to call in, man. You got. Okay, so Molinism,
That's the one
Armenian, and Synergism. Now, synergy is when like things come together.
Yeah.
Like if we have synergy, we're all working together well, right? It's
Which
kind of
we never have,
things-
so we don't.
Well, if it ever happened, then we'd have synergy, right?
Suddenly we'd have synergy. We'll tell you when
Okay.
that happens.
Yeah.
We'll make an announcement.
A bell will ring.
Yeah, like dun 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 dun.
Okay,
You've made
so
it.
all
Synergy
right,
attained.
Kevin, if you want to call in, you can 877-757-9424, 877-757-9424. He's a pretty deep guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Industrial hunting versus hunting, I guess.
Yeah, he was
okay.
thinking the
he was
same
thinking the
way,
same thing.
yeah.
Oh man, you guys are thinking along the same
Yeah,
line.
good job,
Okay,
Kevin.
let me get to my last one here, and here's a picture of a bird. Naturally caring for its young, like they do, just through natural instinct. They're not making any decisions, as opposed to this mother loving her child because she also has a natural desire to do it, but she can also abandon the child if she wants to, which animals rarely do, unless you're a guppy, and then you eat your
Or
your
beta, yeah. beta's
you
the
eat your
There's a few
offspring.
different animals that do that, and it's disturbing.
I think God puts like weird animals in sometimes just to be like, ugh.
That's
you know?
weird.
There's also
I don't
some
wanna be
really
like
cute
that.
ones that have very vicious lifestyles.
Yeah. What's the weirdest animal out there? The fish are weird. We had a
It's
fish
a lot of fish
aquarium.
are
You get the guppies. The mother gives birth to the babies, and immediately all the other fish
Try to eat the babies.
Even fellow guppies all try to eat the babies. That seems so against.
You want to know something really weird about betas?
Yeah.
When betas are breeding, the female is put into a trance while she lays the eggs because if she's awake, she'll eat the eggs immediately.
Is that
So
right?
The
What
male
the
has to pick
heck?
them up and hide them before she wakes up.
So the mother has to protect the babies from the mother.
No, the father does.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. The father protects the babies from the mother,
Yeah.
and she's in a trance.
And then he'll kill her afterwards so that she won't eat
Oh,
the
man.
children, and then he takes
Well,
care
what
of the
about
eggs.
and it's women. Females sometimes to blame. The black widow female
Yeah.
when she mates with the male, and then she kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, and there's no laughing from you there.
As it should be. No, I'm joking.
All of a sudden, yeah,
That's
that would be an interesting show talking about like cases where animals break natural law.
Oh, yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
Ooh.
I
that would be fun.
bet that would get some.
I bet we could
interest.
find some really weird animals to do some really
Yeah,
weird things.
because the most part, you think the animals, because they don't make decisions, that they should just kind of do things right. Like a lot of animals mate for life. I think like penguins do.
Geese,
and
too.
They have
certain-
less divorce rate than we do.
yeah, because they don't have free will,
Right,
right?
there you
They're,
go.
they're not as stupid as we are in that way. Okay, so the last one, and then we will open it up for any comments. And I love this, and I've probably talked about this a number of times, but in relation to heaven, so you see cool stuff out there. Look at those ducks, like that one stupid duck in the middle. He's out of formation. I mean, it's like, come on, dude, what is going on?
That would be me. FYI.
Okay, and you look at your cool dog, and guess what made that mound there on the bottom left?
Termites.
Yeah, how'd
Yeah,
you
they have
look at
some
that country
creepy-
boy?
I know
Country boy knows this
termite
kind of stuff.
Mm,
I was looking up ant mounds, and this one came up, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But it turned out to be a termite mound. Man, that's really cool, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you
And
know
you see-
crawfish make mounds? Kinda
They
like a
do,
little
yeah.
tunnel.
I used to try and
yeah.
Oh, do
Get
they?
'em out of there with a stick.
Underwater?
No.
Oh,
Like in the mud.
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah. My dad said he would find crawdad holes and he would go fishing for
Slow
them.
crawdad chimney.
I'm
Yeah.
still gonna eat them.
Well, yeah, that's the point. You got to get down there with a stick and poke them, and they get mad and they come
Yeah,
out.
we used to catch them, and they swim backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they that seems kind of weird. Speaking of weird things that animals do, because they're looking forward, but they're swimming backwards. Unless they're
Yeah.
little, they got those little eyes that can go anywhere, right?
That's
Okay.
true.
So, all right. So I've used this quote before, but this would be my last thing, proving that I think that heaven can be known through natural reason alone. St. Thomas Aquinas, one of my favorite quotes in the Summa, says, "The ultimate beatitude of man consists in the use of his highest function, which is the operation of his intellect," which goes back to my first point. If we suppose that the created intellect could never see God, it would either never attain to beatitude, or its beatitude would consist in something else besides God, which is opposed to faith. For there resides in every man a natural desire to know the cause of any effect which he sees, and thence arises wonder in men. But if the intellect of the rational creature could not reach so far as to the first cause of things, the natural desire would remain void. All right, so when you see this, going back to the previous slide, the natural instinct, the natural desire would be, where'd that come from? Okay, and then that leads us to God, and then we've already kind of established that God and beatitude is the same thing. If there's not a God, there's probably not a heaven. So it also should make us believe that there absolutely is a heaven. I rest my case, Your Honor. Okay, so what do you think?
Oh, I'm Your Honor.
I agree.
I wasn't looking at you, pal. So all right, so we got a couple of minutes for any other comments. Appreciate everybody. Somebody made a comment about praying mantis.
Oh yeah, Colin did. He says the praying mantis does the same thing. The female eats the male, and he apparently works in the pest control business. So he's seen the mounds, like termite mounds, in people's basements.
Oh, really?
That's rough.
Yeah. So they build them just like little abodes, like homes. Yeah. I always think it's so funny when the ants build these really elaborate mounds, and then like somebody comes along and kicks it. And it's
It's like all this work.
Like my home, man.
Yeah, it's like, man.
made your
But
house
they
out of
always
dirt.
build them like in people's paths.
And then he just like, oh, they do.
Yeah,
They're
if
not
you-
very smart.
No, I mean, if you don't build it right where people are walking.
Or like
you
someone's
know.
gonna drive over it or something. Yeah. Ants, I
world.
just imagine the ant contractor meeting with the ant, like the person who's the other ant that said build this thing, and he's just like, it's gonna be another 3 weeks. We've had some setbacks. It's like,
Yeah, that's for sure.
we've had total collapse.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for all the comments. Anybody else? Sorry we didn't get around to, I don't know, Armenian, Molinism, and Synergism. Kevin, you're too smart for this show. I got to tell you that much. No offense. I'm
Wow.
bringing myself into that as well. Okay, and I have less excuse. I'm old. Okay, you guys, going to learn this stuff as you.
But
as
now
you
he knows
move
what
along.
OG means. So
There you
Yeah.
go.
If there's one thing I came away from this show with, I now know OG.
Yep.
All right.
So you learn
Any
things too.
other any thoughts or?
I just think you need to grow a beard and write a manifesto, Dave.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm going to write a book.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. This may be my confirmation. You guys are telling me to write a book.
Yes, write
Yes.
the book.
But,
I'd read
yes.
Okay. Do you know? I just sold one copy.
it. Yeah.
I'll read it
So,
too.
There you go,
Okay,
2 copies.
all right.
Actually, we're going to share a copy because we're cheap.
Okay. I'm going to throw a famous author's name out there, and you tell me if you've heard of him.
Oh,
Okay. I
dear.
bet you've heard of him, but do you know anything about him? Okay. James Joyce.
Yes,
I've heard of him.
See, Cecil knows everything. Cecil in her 23
I
years
What do
old.
I
heard of
remember?
him.
There's something about him.
No,
but
he's Irish.
Yeah.
And he would write stream of consciousness, like the
right.
book Ulysses.
Yes.
I-
Okay,
I-
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what stream of consciousness is?
Nope.
Just every thought, basically.
Yeah. So it's not like what's the word? What does it mean when you're going in a straight line? Oh gosh. Oh God.
I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say, so I can't help.
Yeah. It's not. Like
Direct
I walked
and to the
into the
point.
room and then I saw this, and you're actually writing what you're thinking, not just what you're doing. Okay, so anyways, I've
So
always,
you're just like writing. I walked into the room and I was thinking about this, and this, and you're just like all the little rabbit trails. going on.
linear.
Oh,
That's what I was trying.
Linear, yeah, it's not linear.
It's not linear. Where like where things happen. Imagine like right now you could be thinking about gosh, I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. Right, but you're not going to say it, or you might think like, man, you think about whatever, or just some random crazy thoughts. That like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
But you'd never say it because it's
Right.
it's totally out of context. Well, James Joyce in Ulysses wrote through a stream of consciousness, and that's why it's an extremely hard book to read.
It's
But-
just there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But there's a lot of religious references because he was Catholic. He's Irish. I
Yeah.
mean, back they're all Irish.
Irish.
I mean, they're all Catholic.
By the way, Mark Lowe says he'll proofread
okay,
your
it's
book for you.
proofread.
So
Okay,
you're
thank you.
basically set, Dave.
No excuse to not write it now.
Just in a matter of 2 minutes, I've sold 2 copies, and I have a proofreader.
You have a
right?
proofreader. I can help
Okay.
you design the cover,
Okay.
And I can
sell the book.
support you emotionally.
Emotional
Oh,
support.
thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that so much. And I think Diane will buy a copy, so I just sold 3.
There you go.
All right, we ready to transition into? Gotta be careful when you talk about transitioning these days. Let's.
Yeah.
We're all gonna stay the same gender. Don't worry. But are we gonna move into
Yeah, we'll
our
move
next
into it.
stage? Okay.
And now it's that time on the show where we give Dave Summa to think about, and he gives it right back. And sometimes I have a more creative intro than this, but not today.
Yeah. This was a down day.
Speaking of, what was the word we were just saying?
Transition.
Transitioning. I was in a group text chain the other day, and with our women's club, and the lady meant to say something else, but it came out as gender identity or something like that. We need to talk about the gender identity.
Yeah.
And everyone, so we're at the meeting. We're like, do you have something you need to tell us? She's like, it was a typo.
But she was trying to say something, and she said gender identity.
Yeah, so
what would sound like gender identity?
Let me see if I can remember what it was. But it was agenda, something like agenda, and it changed to gender identity,
Gender
and we were all cracking up.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, when that kind of comes out of your mouth for no particular reason. All right, Jonathan, I'm really eager to hear yours. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. So I have 2 Lent-themed trivia questions.
Okay.
Lenten? Okay. Why is that funny?
Because the way she was looking at me. Okay. Like, oh yeah, you do, yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of failed last time. With
Yes,
the whole,
you did.
With the whole alligator. The alligator thing was too obvious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's less obvious now.
Okay.
But it's still something about, dioceses allowing foods to be eaten during Lent. Okay. So I'm going to do this one because I think it's easier first, so I can let you guys think that you're doing well. And then
Okay.
do the hard
Thanks.
one.
Before
Wow.
you're,
He's
before
like,
you're
you
he's
guys-
breaking
yeah,
our psyche down here. He's just
you're breaking us down. Okay.
All right. In France, I believe it was during the Middle Ages, there was a monastery that requested that they be able to eat a specific animal because that its habitat was as much aquatic as it was terrestrial.
Anyway,
turtle.
What?
No, she said a turtle.
No.
Okay.
That's false.
I'm gonna say a. Oh gosh, what is
crab.
it? Like a beaver.
No. Wrong.
Oh,
What is it?
It's a puffin.
a puffin.
Yeah.
Then a fish.
The birds, the puffin?
Yeah,
oh,
puffins.
oh, puffins.
Aw, they're too cute
That's
to
the easy
eat.
one.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Maybe he actually might be right today.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're too cute. Watch is the hard, what you consider the
Yeah.
hard one we know.
Yeah.
Though.
Jonathan brought game.
Wow.
I did.
All
Yeah.
right. It's
All
Lent.
right.
He's stepping it up.
Finally.
I gave up being bad at trivia for Lent.
What was last week?
Yeah. You gotta get off to a
That's
late
my
start
rebound.
here. Okay.
Okay. So in the Diocese of Detroit, there is a specific aquatic mammal that is allowed to be eaten during Lent.
Oh.
It's
Aquatic
very,
mammal.
It's very popular. They have their own versions of fish fries with it.
Is it dolphins aren't mammals, are they?
I think they are.
No, whales are mammals.
Yeah,
The
whales.
whales are mammals.
I doubt they're eating whales.
Detroit.
All right, the Detroit Whalers.
You know,
I just said Detroit earlier.
you
I was like,
typically
Detroit?
finish those in one sitting. An aquatic mammal.
I'm really bad.
It's
at
not a
animals.
beaver, I'll give you that.
Okay,
Thanks.
Or an
Okay.
alligator, but no, it's not a mammal.
that's not
so.
a mammal. There aren't many
But
aquatic
they do
mammals.
it with fish fries.
Yeah.
No, like they
They-
replace fish fries with blank.
Oh.
Is it gross?
No, it's supposed to
Okay.
be really good.
I have no idea.
I
Well,
have
I
no
mean, you
idea.
might think it's gross just because it's unusual, but
Yeah. Okay. What is it?
it's a muskrat.
Ugh. That's not gross.
It's supposed to be really good.
That's absolutely disgusting.
It's supposed
It's got the word rat in it.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen
They
them
also,
before.
are too adorable to eat, I think.
No, they're horrifying. I saw a dead one once, and it was just the worst.
Well, of course, if it's dead, it's horrifying. Jonathan.
There aren't many things that
That's not
look
a
like.
good time to judge. Like, please don't come to my funeral and be like, oh,
Judge her on her appearance at her funeral. Ugh, she looks gross. She's dead, man.
It was probably run over too. It was like roadkill.
No, it was like it had recently died, and it was just by the shore. And I was like, ew.
No.
Like a wet, gross big rat.
Jonathan brings out the weirdest conversations in us, doesn't he?
He does.
Okay.
what
Well,
Jonathan
Jonathan,
are.
I got to give you I take back everything I said about your lousy trivia. So I'm
thank
sorry. Okay. You have been redeemed.
Apology accepted.
All
All
right.
right.
Cecil, on the other hand, and don't tell me it's quotes saints quotes.
No.
You
I went
failed
with-
that thrisely.
I went with a theme. I have 3 questions, and the theme is popes. I was feeling in a popey mood today. So-
Okay. All right.
So, really just started because I found one interesting fact, and I decided to go from there. So, the first question is, which pope outside of St. Peter, after St. Peter, had the longest reign?
Okay,
Did we do this before?
Do you remember?
No, I
No.
that should probably be the test, shouldn't it? I'm gonna say I think it was John Paul II.
John Paul II? Okay.
But on the other hand, I think there might have been somebody else in between.
I don't know, but I'm just gonna piggyback off him and say JP2.
Copy.
Wow, that is... Yeah, should be a rule. We can't give the same answer. No, no, it was Pius the Ninth. Wow, Diane even knew it. She predicted that one.
Yeah.
Pius the Ninth, who was 31 years, 7 months, and 23 days.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And you know what can I piggyback that? Which infallible dogma of the Catholic Church was written by Pius IX?
Oh, that was
Immaculate
Conception.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Ineffabilis Deus. Yeah, a little Latin thrown in there.
Why not?
All right. We got a few comments. We'll get to these comments here in just a moment. Okay. So
We're too busy during trivia right now,
do
guys.
not-
Come on. It's important stuff.
No time for comments when we're doing trivia.
Don't call it
Trivia,
anymore.
we have a one-track mind.
But you gotta
Okay.
admit, we've gone from the ridiculous to the sublime all in 1 hour's time. I mean,
Definitely.
talking about heaven and hell and
I think we went ridiculous sublime.
It's a muskrat.
yeah.
To be fair. The muskrat. Oh God.
You're welcome.
Guys, I have tears coming down my eyes. This is not good. Okay, my next question.
Okay, number 2 if you're counting it.
Number 2. Which was the first pope to be photographed?
Ooh. So this would probably let me go back to the year, probably in the mid 1800s.
Yeah, that'd be Pope Pius the 10th. I'm assuming.
Pius X, he was after that, wasn't he?
No, he was. Was he? Wait, no, was he the 1900s one?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they had Pius the 9th that we just. Well, no, when was Pius the 9th? He just told us that.
1800s, wasn't he? I thought he was.
We just learned what Pius the 9th was. So Pius the 10th is gonna be after that. I think it was before Pius the 10th. I'm gonna just take a wild guess.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Benedict the 15th.
Benedict the 15th.
That's not the 16th.
I know.
Because
I was
by
just-
then there was
for a
like,
second my brain short-circuited, and I was like, wait.
What?
yeah,
I was like, right.
Yeah, it's like Dave. They had
Okay.
like.
All right,
like
Jonathan, do you have a
digital
different answer? Are you going to piggyback off of Dave?
No, I'm gonna say Pius 10th.
It was Pius the Ninth again.
Oh, wow!
Not only did he have the longest papacy
Man,
after
this guy-
St. Peter, he also was the first one to be photographed.
And he writes the Immaculate Conception.
He just had a great time.
Come on,
Man.
Pius the 9th. Leave a little room. Leave something for somebody else.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
My goodness.
So the last question is kind of a little bit similar to the one I just asked, but since we're talking about technology, which was the first pope to have his voice recorded?
Are you going to try to trick us and do Pius the 9th again? I mean,
Am I?
voice.
Am I?
No. Voice recording would be in like the
That came before.
19, maybe around 1900.
I'm interested if anyone has an idea.
I mean, radio came around in the
would
1920s.
you all like
Well,
to
but think about, like,
question? Would it help
1920.
if you heard it?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can
Diane?
do. Oh, wow!
Oh,
look at
Boy, you
fancy.
came prepared. Okay, he's gonna be speaking in Latin, right?
You'll see.
Boy, you
Oh.
guys.
Hold on a second.
He's singing.
Yes.
That's cool.
Is that totally jogging your mind right now?
Okay, no. I think what it is.
Okay.
Okay, you can
All
go ahead and stop it, Diane.
Okay.
I think what was that? Was it called a phonogram? The
the-
early.
Can they get rid of that static? I mean, my goodness.
That sounds
yeah.
phonogram. It sounds like I think those were invented in the 1800s.
Yeah. So now I think I want to make sure because Cecil's going to try to trick us and he's like, it's Pius IX again. Okay. The dogma of the Immaculate Conception was 1854.
Okay, then
Okay.
I'm down saying it's Pius IX. That's my.
You're going to say Pius IX?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, she looked up, like, fascinating facts about Pius IX. He was the first guy photographed. He was the second longest pope.
She probably just looked up
Okay.
fascinating facts about
And
Pius IX.
he lived, interestingly, right around the time when probably recording started. It would have been towards the end of his life, though, because I don't think there's any
He
voice.
sounded kind of old in that
Yeah.
report.
So are we united in Pius IX?
We are.
Okay.
Can I take a guess, or that's cheating, Cecil? Because I have the video.
Yeah, you do have the video.
Oh,
you can't guess.
Well,
You
the fact that she wants to take a guess, she must say we're wrong. Okay, so-
well,
So what are your final answers?
Or maybe she's
my-
trying to throw us off.
My final answer is Pius the 10th.
Pius the 9th.
Pope Leo the 13th.
Oh, my favorite pope!
Yes.
My favorite pope. Okay.
You got to hear your favorite pope, Dave.
Yeah, well, gosh, that was really good.
Thank you.
And how she brought a sound effect. I mean, come on. All of a sudden, yours
right.
looks like.
I'm just muskrat.
Yeah.
That's all I am.
Okay.
You didn't even bring a muskrat in to show us.
Should have.
Yeah, come on, country boy. You
catch one.
you can find him. Okay, so all right, mine is that was pretty sublime.
Thank
Those
you.
that was good.
Thank
I
you.
give you an A+. I give Jonathan an A-.
Hey.
Mine's not so sublime.
Okay.
But see, I always go with themes, right?
I went with Lent
I know the
themes.
themes.
I know, but I go to the theme that we actually talked about that day. Okay.
I don't actually know much usually.
Okay, so here we go. And for those of you out there in social media land, I made a half joke earlier today saying one of my beloved compadres here would probably do very bad on this, and
You
one
nodded
would
me.
do well. And so here it is. How many? Let's see who can get 3 first, going back and forth.
Oh dear.
Movies with a theme of heaven.
Oh, okay. I got it.
So,
I got it.
okay,
I got
you
it.
go first, Cecil.
hold on.
Movies with a.
I gotta remember the name of it. I gotta remember the name. Hold on.
Well,
Give
if
me-
you're struggling with the first one, this doesn't bode so well.
No, I don't really watch
And,
movies.
I know one.
Okay, yeah, Diane. I always forget Diane. Okay, so Diane, you okay? Since you
Well,
two.
you go for it.
Okay,
She can
Diane,
for
go
it.
ahead.
My first one's Heaven is for Real.
All right, Heaven is for Real,
I haven't watched. I don't think any
2014.
of these movies.
A small boy, Colton, describes his ascent to heaven after emergency surgery. 2014, Heaven is for Real, and I think we promoted that movie on Catholic Radio, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
even interviewed the subject that,
I don't.
didn't
Yeah,
you?
I think I interviewed
Somebody.
Yeah, like the mom or something. Yeah, somebody. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Boy, you guys are.
This is bad. I don't really watch these movies. I will be completely honest.
A couple of them.
There's some that are like really. I know. Oh,
Okay.
Shrek.
Oh, okay. Now.
wait. There's a
Ma-
girl-
Wait.
Now, Mark said heaven can wait.
Heaven
Okay,
can
you
wait?
guys are so lame that we're actually.
Hey.
What? That's too far.
Hold on,
Dave.
wait,
Okay, you guys haven't heard of Heaven Can Wait?
God's not
I-
dead.
I don't think that
That's
counts.
not about
wait,
heaven.
wait. All dogs go to heaven.
There you go. All dogs go to
On the
heaven.
board.
That's one. 1989, a cute cartoon that gives you a peek at heaven. All
That's
dogs
the
go
only
to
one
heaven.
I think I've seen that has to do with heaven.
Okay, there's a couple of
Or-
there's at least 2 or 3 of these that you're gonna say, oh yeah.
Can we
okay.
talk about like just the,
Wait, Mark Lowe said the great Meatloaf song.
Is there a movie called Heaven?
Movie?
Just called Heaven.
heaven?
I don't think so.
I just wanted
Slice
to shoot
of
my
heaven.
shot. Just wanted to shoot my shot.
Yeah, I actually flew to Atlanta about 7 years ago to cover a movie, watch the premiere, interview the actors, and one of the actors was Hayden Christensen,
Oh, really?
who is Anakin Skywalker,
yeah.
right? And he was the main guy. This movie did not do very well, and it wasn't very popular, but it's called 90 Minutes in Heaven.
All right, you've mentioned that so many times, I just forgot what it was
Yeah,
called.
90 Minutes in Heaven. Okay, so have y'all officially given up? So,
Yeah.
Kind of,
so
yes,
Cecil has
unfortunately.
1, Diane has 1, Mark Lowe has 1.
John has 0.
Jonathan, yeah. So if any of you can say one more, you win.
Oh, crumpets.
What was the one that you got?
Oh, I said All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Okay,
That's
All
the
Dogs-
only one I've ever seen. I think there is hold on. I'm trying to think of the ones like I've seen in the story. Is the store. There's a lot of them with heaven in the title. I just got to come up with the right one.
Yeah.
One that's, like,
Mark out, yeah,
similar,
just heaven and then just blurt out some words and you're probably going to be right.
Seventh Heaven? Isn't there a movie Seventh Heaven? No? Is that not a movie?
How about Good
Is that not a movie?
Heavens?
Good Heavens to Betsy.
Okay, you guys are...
Stairway to Heaven? A Night in Heaven?
I'm telling God.
Children, Gate of Heaven?
This one, very few people would know, but there was a movie in 1946 called A Matter of Life and Death. Okay. Now, this one I think you guys should remember. Maybe not Jonathan, but there was a movie that came out in 2016 starring Jennifer Garner called Miracles from Heaven. And it was about a little girl. Do you remember this one, Diane? Because we covered this one as well. They, in fact, had
Yes, I remember.
yeah. And Miracles from Heaven, where the little girl had a really bad illness, and she was up in a tree, and she fell. No, she went to heaven. She visited it. Okay, you guys.
I don't understand.
The name sounds familiar, but I
Okay.
didn't even know Jennifer Garner was
How
in it, so-
about, now this one, I bet you at least 2 of you have heard of, The Shack.
Oh, I have. I forgot that's about heaven. I don't know. The Shack.
Yeah.
I do
Never
not
heard
know.
of
Never heard of that one? Diane,
It
you
doesn't
heard
have
of The
heaven
Shack?
in the title, Dave. We're very simple people.
No.
Yeah. Okay, The Shack, 2017.
Is there Shaquille O'Neal in it?
No. What Dreams May Come, 1998.
It's a good year.
Is that year you were born?
That's the year I was born.
Okay, all right. Always, 1989. Heaven Can Wait, which Mark got. Matter of Life and Death, 1946. I already did that one.
Oh, Soul!
What?
The Disney movie Soul.
If it's not on the list, it doesn't count.
Yeah, Soul. S-O-U-L?
Yeah, it's a movie. Is it actually based in heaven, though? I thought it was just...
It's like their kind of weird, trying to be neutral version on the afterlife.
How about
Okay.
Ghost?
I can't believe there's not a movie called Gate of Heaven or Heaven to Betsy or...
Ghost, Patrick Swayze, that was about a guy coming back from death.
Right.
But it didn't really have anything to do with heaven. Okay, so we're not going to be able to accept that one. Did you say Ghost? Diane said Ghost. Okay.
I did.
All right. So yeah, that didn't quite qualify. So
Well.
all right. Well, there you go. You have it. That pretty much puts an end to it. I think you guys outdid me with trivia questions, so congratulations on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the bar has been set.
It
Bring
has.
audio, and so. All right. So
Bring a
are
mariachi
there
band.
any?
My audio will just be me asking the question.
He's like, I'm going to bring in Jonathan from yesterday to ask this next one.
Okay. So any comments here? Let's see.
Apparently, rats are perfectly edible if you're hungry enough, according to Mark.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah.
That's true. I think if you're hungry enough, you'll eat pretty much anything.
Hunger makes the beans
Back
sweet.
at the time of the Black Death, they were sold at the marketplace.
He also would like to make sure it's noted that it's not from personal knowledge and experience.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was worried about that for a minute.
All right. Well, I guess that pretty much does it. Thank you, Jonathan von Weber-Hansberg. Thank you, Cecil Anderson, Diane Xavier. And thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week for the next Back to the Father.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.